Hello,
Hi, Ivan.
hi Simba.
Hello, good evening. How are you?
Uh, Under the weather, I guess.
By the way, all
You,
right, okay.
and
Are you
you?
getting better?
I'm getting there, and you?
Okay, that's good. That's good. I'm good, thank you. I'm great. How is everyone else? Hi, Koketsu. Hello. Hi, Ivan. Good to see you. Thank you. All right, good, good. Hi, Claudia. I think it's just the three of us for now. But yeah, the four of us actually. I'm not counting myself. I'm not sure what's happening there. But let's go straight into it because this session is I've created this session using my account. So my account is on standard, which only records for about 40 minutes, but we should be done
Oh,
before the 40 minutes lapses.
okay.
Oh, it's not yet 7 o'clock. I think some might still be joining. Let us just give them a minute or two, then we can start.
Simba.
Hi, Jen. How are you?
I'm good, thanks. And you?
I'm very well, thank you.
That's great.
Welcome.
Thank you.
How the studies going?
Um, the first two chapters I got through okay. Then chapter
Okay.
three, it was time. Just time to get to it was hectic. And now I finally got through that, but I must still do
Yeah.
chapter four.
All right.
So
Okay.
it's just balancing time where the struggle is.
All right. Okay.
She's lying. She's not struggling at all, Simba. She is lying. She's not struggling at all.
Is she not?
No, she
That's
is
good.
not.
If you're not
She is a
struggling,
tutor.
then that is great news.
I've got her on speed dial. But
Okay, that's good. That is good. Okay, let's go straight into it. I'm going to share my screen quickly, then we can go through the test that we gave to you last time. All right, great. Can you see my screen?
yes,
You can, great, thank you. But I was actually wondering why you guys were worried regarding the homework because you did very well. Everyone did very, very well. So I'm not sure why you guys were worried.
I got
When I
twos
was
as
when I was
well.
when I was marking my work for the other subjects, then I got a little bit worried. But you guys did very well on the first homework. So you don't need to worry about this. You've got this. Okay, I think there were just a few tricks that you need to take note of, or some of you need to take note of when you're answering questions that you struggled with. Like for example, you need to read the questions carefully and understand the question requirement before you start answering the question. But those are very minor issues that you can be able to work on that maybe when we do the next few homeworks, you will be good on that. You won't have any issues at all. Okay. But I'm going to be discussing them as we go through this. So the first question that we had was, which of the following would a company's management accountant be primarily concerned with? So the main word that we were going to be looking out for there is what are you going to be primarily concerned with? Because all these can be done by a management accountant. The other word also that I saw some of you were struggling with is this part here. So when a question is saying which of the following, it means you need to select one out of whatever is given there. Some of you were selecting two, and I don't know if you remember when we started this, I mentioned to you that CIMA doesn't have part marking. So if you select two, but you are actually supposed to be selecting one, even if your other answer is correct, then you're marked wrong. If the question is saying, for example, yeah, which two, and you select one, even if that one is correct, then your whole answer is going to be marked wrong. If you select one which is correct and another one which is incorrect, you're not going to get half a mark. You're going to be marked wrong. So you need to be careful about those words. I think that is something minor. But if the question is saying which of the following, it means you need to select one. You can't be selecting two there. All right. So the primary objective, the primary duty or responsibility of a management accountant is not to provide information to shareholders on how the management are doing. It is not to provide reporting on past data. This is done by a financial accountant, right? That's the primary duty of a financial accountant. Then
Yes.
the annual reporting of financial performance, that's also a primary duty of a financial accountant, right? But the primary duty of a management accountant is to prepare plans and forecasts for the future activities of the business. So this was the correct answer. However, a management accountant can also provide data on. They can also provide reporting on past data. They can also provide annual reporting of financial performance. You can also do financial reporting. You can also do financial statements, but that is not the primary duty of a management accountant. But this one is the correct primary duty of a management accountant. All right. I think the majority of you got this one wrong, correct. Just a few of you got it wrong. Then the second question, which two of the following are fundamental principles of the CIMA Code of Ethics? I saw quite a number of you also got it wrong, but these fundamental principles are listed on your study text, and we also discussed the 5 fundamental principles. Let us list the 5 fundamental principles of CIMA. Can you give me a list of them? Starting from the beginning. We're just going to list the 5 fundamental principles of CIMA.
Integrity.
Integrity, yes. Integrity. Does integrity have R here? There's no R, right?
Yes, it
Not
does.
there.
Not
There's no
there.
R. Okay, great.
No.
So integrity is one of them. The second one is
Objectivity.
objectivity, yes. Objectivity. The third one was
Confidentiality.
confidentiality. And the fourth one is,
Professional competence and duty.
thank you, yes, professional. This is long, huh? Professional
Yeah.
competency and due care. Professional competency
Duty.
and due care. And
Professional behavior.
due care. And lastly,
Professional behavior.
professional behavior. That's the fifth one. These fundamental principles are in your study text, and we've also discussed these. I saw some of you maybe look at the words and they look at very good words like honesty. I saw quite a number of you selecting honesty. It is part of integrity. So integrity describes the characteristics of being honest and straightforward, but it is not a characteristic according to CIMA. It's not one of the 5 fundamental principles. Responsibility is also not one of them. Then professional duty. I saw most of you also selected professional duty, but the right characteristic is professional competency and due care. So professional duty is not one of them. So the two were objectivity and confidentiality. Although some of these words might look very, very tempting because they're nice words like honesty, responsibility, professional duty, but they're not the one of the characteristics or fundamental principles of CIMA's Code of Ethics. But these ones are very, very straightforward, so they should be easy for you to pick. All right. I'm sorry about that. I'm not sure what's happening here. I see that there's something, I think maybe a leak or something that is coming from the roof, and it's the first time that I'm seeing this. All right, sorry about that. Don't worry. I'm still safe. But there's a leak. Okay, great. Then let's look at the third question. So this question, quite a number of you got it wrong because they were selecting some of these words which are not part of the fundamental principles. Then the third one also was saying which two of the following are advantages of business process outsourcing. I think this was quite straightforward though. The organization staff retain key skills, definitely not right. You can't retain skills when you're outsourcing a business to a third party. It means you're giving the work to someone else, right?
Yeah.
Better control? Do you have better control? Definitely
No.
not, right? You won't have better control because you are outsourcing the business to a third party, so they have all the control. Although you can put a service level agreement and the like, and maybe you can put checks and controls, but you don't have a better control when you outsource. What about cost reduction?
Yes.
Possible, yes. Definitely. That's the reason why most of the businesses would outsource. So you need to look at, you compare your internal costs and you compare the cost that you are going to incur if you outsource. Then if you are going to reduce your cost, then you can outsource to a third party. Confidential information kept in-house?
No.
Definitely not. Yes. Release of capacity?
Yes.
Release of capacity, definitely yes. So those are the only two advantages of business process outsourcing. So you can see from there, the other way in which you can answer your questions is to eliminate those solutions that are incorrect. Then you're left with the correct ones. But this was pretty easy as well. Most of you got it right. Then looking at the fourth,
Some background noise.
all right. Looking at the fourth question, which of the following are not characteristics of good information? I saw quite a number of you also got this one wrong, but it is also in your study text. All the characteristics are there. What is the acronym that we use to list to remember all the characteristics of good information?
Accurate.
Accurate.
Accurate, like this, right? What does the A represent?
Accurate.
Accurate, yes. Accurate. What does the C represent?
Complete.
Complete. That's right. The other C,
Cost beneficial.
cost beneficial. Thank you. Beneficial. What about you?
Understandable.
Understandable. Deborah. Pardon my handwriting there. What about R?
Relevant.
Relevant.
Relevant. The A,
Authoritative.
authoritative. Authoritative. T,
Timely.
Timely.
timely. And the last letter E,
Easy to use.
easy to use. As simple as that. And this is in your study text. And this you also do in BA1 as well. So if you've done BA1, you'll see that you've covered this already, and it's exactly the same content. All right, let's look at the fifth question. I think the fifth question was also a little bit easy. The majority of you got it right. Just a few got it wrong. Okay. So now we're looking at the level of decision making, and we said we've got 3 levels of decision making, which is the strategic level on top, the operational level right at the bottom, and the tactical level in the middle. So those are the 3 levels of decision making that we have in organizations. Now the question is saying match the following. Match the decision below to the level at which the decision would be made. 1, the decision to diversify into the new market. Who decides on that?
Strategic.
Yes, that's top management. They decide if they want to diversify into the new market. Decision relating to operational capacity and levels of wasted in production. Who decides on that?
Operational.
Tactical.
Definitely, it will be operational managers or your supervisors and the like. Decisions relating to product pricing and customer service. Who decides on that?
Tactical.
Sorry, again.
Tactical.
Yes, agree. That's middle management that decides on that. Consideration on how the economic situation will affect the company.
Strategic.
Strategically. Yes, you're right. This was pretty straightforward there. Then looking at the 6th question, the majority of you got it right. I think there was only 1 or 2 people who got it wrong for some reason. But yeah, we want to calculate the total prime cost. All right. What makes up our prime cost?
Direct.
Direct labor, direct expense.
Yes. Direct material, direct labor, material, let me write it, material, direct labor, and direct expenses, right? So if you add these 3, then you come up with what we refer to as the prime cost. So it was just a matter of going onto the list that we have there, or our cost card that we have there, and you pick those that are direct. And we only had 2: direct material, $2, direct labor, $3. And you add those 2 and you get a total of $5. Yes. So what do we get if we were to add the indirect material, indirect labor, and indirect expenses? What do we come up with?
Production cost.
Production cost. What is the term that is used to describe those costs?
Overheads.
Overheads. Yes, that's right. That is what we are going to be covering on Saturday.
Okay.
So if you add your indirect material, indirect labor, and indirect expenses, you come up with what is known as the overheads, or the total overheads for the organization. So that is what we are going to be covering on Saturday, and we are going to look at how to calculate your your overheads, as well as how you can allocate those overheads onto the product so that you can come up with a total price for the product. Yeah, I had a problem with this one. I'm not sure what was going on, but the majority of you got it wrong. But these graphs,
Yes.
we actually covered these
Done.
graphs when we did our session 2. That was the last concept that we covered on session 2. All right, let's look at each one of them and see which graph relates to the description that is given. The first option, total semi-variable cost. Which of these graphs is describing the total semi-variable cost?
Number 2.
Graph 2.
Yes,
Activity
I
level
agree
2.
with you. Number 2 is starting at this point here. The reason why we would say that is the right graph for the total semi-variable cost, you can see if it is starting at that point, it means from this level to that level is fixed. Then from that level here to that level there, that's the variable part. So that is the reason why we are saying this is a total semi-variable cost because it is a fixed element. So this is a fixed cost from this point here to that point there, and the remaining part is the variable part. So that's a total semi-variable cost. It was simple, but the majority of you got it wrong. Let's look at the second one. Fixed cost per unit. Here I had a problem because the majority of you also got it wrong. This one was a little bit better because you most of you got it right, but yeah, the majority of you got it wrong. So which of these graph is describing a fixed cost per unit?
Graph 4.
Number 4.
Number 4. Yes, you're
Graph.
right. It is number 4. The majority of you selected number 3, but this graph is not a total, is not a fixed cost per unit. This graph can describe a total fixed cost. That would be correct, but not a fixed cost per unit. The reason being, if we are saying a fixed cost per unit, it means if you don't produce anything, you are going to pay that amount per unit, which is whatever the total fixed cost is. If fixed cost for the month is 10,000, let me say this is your cost for the rent, and you don't produce anything, you are going to pay 10,000 rand. But the moment you start producing something, you're going to realize that your fixed cost per unit is going to go down. Let's say, for example, you decide that you're going to be producing 10 units. It means your fixed cost per unit is now going to become 1,000. It's 1,000 rand now, not 10,000 anymore. The moment you start producing more, let's say you go up to producing 100 units, then you're going to divide that by 100 units, which means that your total cost per unit is now down to 100 rand. The moment you produce more, let's say you're now producing 1,000 units, it means your cost per unit is going to be 10. The moment you produce more, your cost is going to go down. That is why you see that this graph is going to look like that one. That's a fixed cost per unit, but you mustn't confuse that with the total fixed cost because the total fixed cost graph is going to look like that, but your fixed cost per unit is going to be downward sloping like that.
So it'll have so would you say that it's like a downward curve?
Yes, that's correct. It is the downward curve.
Okay, cool.
All right, so here we said it's graph number 2. Here we said it's graph number 4. What about total variable cost?
Number 1.
Graph 3.
Graph
It
1.
can't be number 1.
Or number 1. But
Total
Fikile, you
variable
say?
cost.
The
Total
majority
variable.
of you also got this one wrong.
it's graph 1.
Graph 1. Total
I
variable.
got it wrong. It's supposed to be graph
Total
1, not
variable cost.
3.
Yes, you're right. The total
Graph 1.
variable cost would be number 1. Yes, you're right. Sorry about that,
Okay, I was
Tracy.
wondering now. Did I get that wrong?
That's right. Yeah, sorry about that. Yeah, it is number 1. Because if you don't produce anything and the cost is variable, you're not going to pay anything. That is why it is starting from 0. But the moment you start producing, it means you now pay the variable cost. If you produce less, you're going to pay less. The more you produce, you're going to pay more. That's a total variable cost graph. And lastly, this one you can all guess. So the variable cost per unit would be number 3, all right? So if
Okay.
your variable cost per unit is R2 per unit, or $2 per unit, you are always going to be paying $2 per unit. So that's the variable cost per unit. But if we say total variable cost, then it becomes this graph. All right, so the majority of you got this wrong because you were getting some of the graphs right, but some of the graphs wrong. And as we mentioned, when it comes to CIMA, there's no part marking, so you need to get everything right. Question number 8. I also had a problem here because the majority of you got this one wrong for some reason. So now you're basically looking at the same concept that we have been looking at here, but here you are explaining these in words, not in graphs anymore. Prime cost is the total of all production costs. That's not right. We've just done this now. Prime cost is only the total of your direct labor, direct material, plus direct expenses. So this was wrong. Let's look at the next one. Fixed cost per unit are deemed to be constant per unit of activity.
No.
Fixed cost per
It
unit
is
are
not
deemed to be
correct.
constant.
Decreases, yeah.
No,
Increase.
they change.
So this is
It's
incorrect
downward
as
curve,
well.
so it's wrong.
That one's also false.
As activity level increases, the fixed cost per unit will decrease.
It's
That's
true.
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 That one's,
Isn't it increase?
that's a
As
fundamental
No,
characteristic.
it's
it
increased.
decreases.
Cost per unit. Oh, yeah, that's
All
correct.
right.
Mm.
Okay,
That's a,
great. Can
It's
we
a fundamental
have,
characteristic of fixed costs, yeah.
sorry again. Yeah, I
I'm
wanted,
saying that activity level increase and fixed costs per unit decreases. That's a true characteristic of fixed costs.
that's correct, yes. So that's the graph that we drew earlier on, right?
That drew,
It looks
yeah, that's right.
going to be like that. So as
Yes.
activity levels increases, the fixed cost per unit is going to decrease. If you produce
Decrease.
more, your fixed cost per unit is going to decrease. So this is correct.
It's a downward,
Yeah.
downward, yeah.
Total
That's right.
variable cost decreases as activity level increases. No, that's incorrect.
False.
Yes. So definitely we can guess that the last one is correct as well, right? Okay, because they said
Yeah.
select 2 and the other 3 are incorrect. All right. I also had quite a number of you getting this one wrong. But yeah, I'm not sure why. I had a few of you selecting more than 1 year as well. But this one is the same principle. The question is saying which of the following, it means you must only select one. The only instance that you can select 2 if they say which of the following, that statement will follow by select all that apply. If there is another statement after this which says select all that apply, then you can by all means select more than 1 or 2 and the like. But if it is just saying select which of the following, then it means you are only selecting one solution. I had a number of you selecting more than one, which made your answers incorrect here. All right, so which of the following would be classified as direct labor? A management accountant in the finance department of a manufacturing company, is that direct labor or indirect labor?
Indirect labor.
Indirect.
This is definitely indirect labor because the management accountant is not directly attributed to the production of any product. A warehouse assistant in a factory store.
Indirect labor.
Indirect.
Why do you say this is indirect labor? I agree with you. Yes, you're right. It is indirect. But why do you say this is indirect?
It supports production. But a warehouse system supports production. So it's not basically directly related to making a product. Oh,
The warehouse
it's basically,
assistant in
yeah,
a...
warehouse system. It's not directly relating to making goods.
Yes, that's right. They are working in the warehouse, so they are not producing the good. That's the reason why
No.
that becomes indirect. What about a
Yeah.
chef in a restaurant?
No, that's the right answer.
Correct.
Direct labor.
Yes, because the chef is the one who is making the food.
Making the product. Yeah.
Quite a number of you selected this one, but it is not direct labor. Why is it that a cook in a factory canteen is not direct labor?
Because it supports the chef.
No, but that's not what they're producing in the factory. Is it food? It's a canteen of the factory.
Yes, that's correct, Annalene. Thank you so much. The reason why this one becomes incorrect because they are working for a factory. This factory is producing something else, but they are working in the canteen. So they're making food for whoever is working in the factory. It can be those that are manufacturing or those that are supporting. So the fact that they are a cook in a factory canteen, that becomes indirect labor. But if they were a cook in a restaurant or a cook in a shop that is producing food, then they become direct labor. All right. I think that is where we end. The 10th question, everybody got it right. So we don't need to worry about this. But the question is saying match the sector or activity to the most appropriate cost unit. A school, definitely. That's pretty easy. It is a student or a pupil, right? Then management consultancy, it is chargeable hour, right? Charge per hour. Then hospital, it would be patient per night, right?
Mm-hmm.
Then a call center was telephone calls. Yes, as easy as that. Was this difficult?
Not really. I think in the first beginning it was like we had to get used to it for those of us that didn't do anything else. But no, that part wasn't. However, the second homework is quite hectic, Simba.
The second homework, I think, is the easiest because you only have calculations there. And calculations, as long as you know the formula, it's all about the formula, it's all about knowing the steps, then it becomes easy because as long as your calculations are on point, you know the formula, then it becomes easy. Calculations are the easiest because they're not trying to, whenever they give you a question that is calculations and it's straightforward, so it's all about testing your accuracy, and if you know the formula, that's all that they are testing you. Because the other questions that have got so many ways, they can try and throw you off by the ways that they use. So you may be confused because of the ways. But those questions that we gave you last week, they're straightforward. It's all about calculations. Take your formula, use the formula, make sure that your calculations are accurate, then you get to the answer.
Okay, gonna attempt it again tomorrow, but I keep getting mind boggled and putting it aside.
All right, okay. Yeah, that's okay. Please complete it and submit it. If you can do it by tomorrow, please. I checked like this evening. I think 7 of you only submitted, so I'm still waiting for a lot more. And I saw a few of you submitted last week's homework, so I need to go back and look into that as well. But please complete it and submit it by tomorrow. Okay.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Will do.
All right. Any questions?
Thank you.
Does it make you feel better in terms of answering questions?
Yes,
That's
definitely.
good.
For me, that
Yes.
does help. So thank you so much. We appreciate the extra time, Samba.
You're welcome. But also remember, if you go to an exam, you mustn't be nervous. You must just relax, answer your questions, read the questions carefully, make sure that you understand what is required. Then you can answer your questions from there, and make sure that if the question is saying select one, if you're supposed to be selecting one solution, do not select more than that. If you're supposed to be selecting two, if you happen to select one, it means you're going to be marked wrong, even though that one answer is right. You are supposed to be selecting two, so the two solutions should be correct and should be selected.
Okay, and then a
Alright.
question. So I haven't done these subjects before, I just want to ask, do you guys share any other than the mock exam and the questions we get in the book and stuff, do we have any extra question papers or past question papers that we can work on?
CIMA does not release question papers. You ask those that have written the exam, they know that. So how CIMA works with the questions is that they've got a question bank, and the question bank, we have thousands of questions. So when you get into the exam, the computer is going to choose 60 questions from all the chapters. So it is designed for you to choose questions from all the different chapters. Then it gives you those 60 questions. Soon after the exam, the whole thing disappears. You don't get past question papers because most definitely those questions are going to be recycled. Otherwise, they're going to run out of questions, or they're going to work on producing questions over and over again. So they're working with those thousands of questions, and the computer just gives you those questions randomly. So there are no past question papers for CIMA. If someone is telling you that you can get past question papers, it's not possible. You write an exam, the exam disappears. Soon after the exam, most definitely you won't remember those questions yourself because you are under so much pressure that you don't remember it. So that is how they work. So you can only work with the mock exams and the exam practice kit. But remember, the exam practice kit has lots of questions. I think there are more than almost close to 200, 300 questions on there. Then you've got 2 mock exams, and you've got another mock exam which is loaded onto your Circle profile. Then if you go onto the CIMA website, there is another mock exam also that you can use to practice. That is all you get. You don't get the past questions. But from experience, I can tell you that if you cover all the questions that you have in your exam practice kit, most likely you might get maybe 4, 5 questions that are exactly how they are in there. The majority of them, they won't be exactly how they are. They might change figures, they might change words a little bit, but they will be as they are in the exam practice kit. So as long as you do all the mocks and you do all the questions in the exam practice kit and you're happy with that, you are comfortable with that, then there's no way that you won't pass the exam.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, we are out of time. We have exactly 2 minutes left because I actually scheduled this using my account, so we only get 40 minutes. But thank you so much for attending, and have a good evening. I know you're tired. We're all tired. We're coming from work. We need to rest. We need to prepare for supper and rest, prepare for tomorrow. Maybe some of you might need to study a little bit as well. But thank you.
But can I just ask one question, Greg,
Yes,
before we
Tracy.
go? Remember when right at the beginning when we broke down the chapters, right? And the split was happening according to weighting, where you said 10%, 25%, 30 and 35%, right? The
Yes,
split was happening on the syllabus. So I just want to ask you a question, Greg. So in terms of 10% on like chapter 1, is that 10%, and then what
Yeah.
chapters cover 25% and what chapters covers 30? Could you give me that breakdown of which chapters covers how much percentage, or is it?
So your
there a way?
your BA2 is pretty straightforward. It's different from BA1. So BA2 goes in that order. Chapter 1 alone is 10%. I
Yes.
think it is chapter 2, 3, 4. Not sure if 5 is included. That's the costing. That is the 25%. Then after that, it goes to the next chapter. That is
30.
it 30 or 35%. So it is in that order.
30%.
That's why you see that we're just gonna go in that order from chapter 1 until the last chapter.
Now, why I'm looking at the weighting is to understand that because you're looking at weightings, it kind of gives me an idea of
Yeah.
what percentage the exam is focused on. So that means
Yeah.